In the second month of being imprisoned by ktten, I had a car accident and lost my memory. When I got home and saw him chained up, I was startled. I untied him while apologizing. He just scowled and kicked over the manta nearby, saying, "Why didn't the crash kill you? You broke loser, playing at being a kidnapper. You'd better really have amnesia, not just be too broke to keep me. Forget it, stop crying. Don't show up in front of me again." I wiped my tears and swore I would turn over a new leaf. Half a month later, I won the lottery and forcefully took another handsome young guy. Ran was not only good-looking but also cooperative, and I was extremely satisfied. A month later, while I was at work, I received a message from Ran. "Baby, come back quickly. A crazy person broke into our house and grabbed my chain." I'm so scared. As I twisted the doorknob, from inside the room came a cold sneer. "The breadwinner is back. How many lettuce leaves did you hunt today?" I was so terrified that I felt a jolt, my legs went weak, and I turned to open the door and run out. How could there be someone in my house? But the next second I froze. A tall, handsome man with a perfect face appeared unexpectedly at the bedroom door, his expression still twisted with disgust and disdain. Who are you?" asked him carefully. He curled his lips mockingly. "You're trying to—" His words abruptly stopped when he saw the dried bloodstain on my forehead. His beautiful brows furrowed so deeply they could kill a fly. "What happened to your forehead?" I raised my hand and touched it. There was a big bump. I was delivering takeout and got hit by a car. "How did you end up in my house?" After a few seconds of silence, he seemed to be judging whether I was telling the truth. "Really lost your memory? Do you know what year it is now?" Gripping the door handle, I felt everything was absurd. 2023. Another silence. Then he looked at me coldly. "Looks like it's real." Today, I didn't even get through the door before I touched my head. I looked at his height, then at my own hand. I usually pat his head when I come home. He's so tall and looks bad-tempered. Would he let me pat him? "Are you my boyfriend?" Since he was in my house and came out of the bedroom, I instinctively assumed he was my boyfriend. The tips of his ears flushed red, as if he felt utterly ashamed, and he almost growled. "Who the hell is your boyfriend, you psycho? You've imprisoned me here." I widened my eyes, and as he moved, I noticed a chain thicker than a wrist at his feet, trailing out from the bedroom.
Impossible.
"I'm a good person," I denied instinctively. But when I met his eyes, I felt a faint tug at my heart. "A good person would do something like this? You mean I'm sick and chain myself up in your place?" His voice was harsh, the disgust in those beautiful amber eyes almost spilling over. I couldn't help it. My nose stung and tears fell. "I'm sorry, I'll untie you." I frantically wiped my tears and searched everywhere for the key. He stood at the bedroom door, saying nothing this time, just staring at me quietly. Finally, I found a small key hidden in the spot where I stashed my money. I looked up to find he had already entered the bedroom. Clutching the key, I followed him in, and after taking in the layout, I froze for a couple of seconds. The two beds were placed neither too close nor too far apart. There wasn't even a table in the room. Beside the bed sat a plate and a large glass of water, making my heart feel even more bitter. I stepped forward, tears streaming down my face as I unlocked the iron chains for him. My hot tears accidentally fell onto the web of his thumb, and the man's fingers flinched slightly. "You have the nerve to cry? You're the one who locked me up here for over a month." I sniffled and quickly apologized. "I'm sorry. I'll compensate you with money. I'll turn myself in." Before I could finish, he kicked over the plate and water beside him, the steamed buns on the plate rolling a couple of times. "Why didn't you get hit by a car and die? Broke bastard, playing the kidnapper. You'd better really have amnesia, not just be too broke to keep me." I was startled and quickly looked up at him. "I'm sorry, really sorry." He stared at the red bump on my forehead for a few seconds, then ran his hand through his hair in irritation. "Forget it. Stop crying. I won't have the police arrest you. Just don't show up in front of me again." I nodded vigorously. As I unlocked the chains, I listened to him. It turned out his name was Yu-chun, my current boss. "I pay you a salary and you turn around and trick me into your house to lock me up." He raised his hand and pinched my cheek, hard. I dared not speak, but felt furious. "I won't do this again. I'll compensate you for the money." He glanced disdainfully at the chain on the floor, walked out without looking back, his voice chillingly cold. I don't want a lunatic's money. It's dirty. The door slammed shut. I looked down at the slightly grimy steamed bun, silently picked it up. 3 years later, I'm living such a miserable life. Not only am I broke, but my illness has flared up again. I have a severe psychological disorder. I grew up in an orphanage. With my quiet personality, no one, adults or children, liked me. Until I found a kitten. I realized I loved the feeling of a life being completely dependent on me to survive. Every meal, I stuffed chicken drumstick meat into my mouth, and when no one was around, I gave it to the kitten. Watching it trapped in the cardboard box, completely reliant on me, a strange thrill rose in my heart. I felt like I had found a reason to live. Tethering a living creature, making it wholly dependent on me, but the kitten was eventually discovered. Later, I raised crickets, chicks, and other pets, but without exception, they were all confiscated by the principal. This obsession kept suppressing and growing wildly inside me, but as I grew older, it faded away, and I thought I was cured. But the moment I saw Yu Chen's eyes clearly, my soul trembled. They were just too similar. His eyes and his proud, sulky demeanor were exactly like that kitten's. At that moment, I understood why I imprisoned him. I wanted to keep him. I wanted to lock him up, making him dependent only on me. I opened the surveillance footage and began to play it back frame by frame. The earliest recording was from a month ago. That day, I brought Yu Chen home for the first time. When he was chained up, he cursed me out and swore at me. He even sneaked onto my bed in the middle of the night, trying to strangle me. But he realized I only kept him fed and watered, and besides petting his head when I came home, I did nothing else. So he fell silent, occasionally letting out cold, sarcastic remarks. We lived together for over a month. He ordered me around without restraint, and I just indulged him like coaxing a spoiled kitten. Except for letting him go, I allowed everything. I sped up the video and watched a little at a time, until this morning when Yu Chen wanted pineapple rice from the east side of town. I said I had no money. There were only 2 steamed buns left at home. After he smashed 2 plates, I left the house. I walked to the door. Seeing the utterly ruined pineapple rice, I had already guessed. I went out this morning for a day labor delivery job. On my way back, I used today's wages to buy a serving of pineapple rice that Xiao AI loved to eat. Then, I got into a car accident. Yu Chen had obviously seen this pineapple rice too, because when I first got home, it wasn't this wrecked. Now there was a clear shoe print on the packaging. The next day, I received a message from Yu Chen. Not coming to work? Or have you lost your memory and don't even know where the company is? After sending over my resignation letter and apology, I blocked Yu Chen, leaving only a screenshot of my payment to him. Then, I transferred all 132 yuan I had earned from yesterday's day labor to him. After that, I moved out. I'm really broke now, so broke that even if I hadn't lost my memory that day, I would have let Yu Chen go the next day anyway, because I couldn't afford the rent anymore. Over the next half month, I found a day labor job that provided meals and accommodation, and I sent all my wages to Yu Chen. I figured that since I had imprisoned him for a month, I would pay him back a month's salary. Yu Chen was very wealthy, a big boss. Based on his salary, it would take me about a year or 2 to repay him. But I didn't expect fate to favor me so much. On my way back to the dorm after buying food, I passed a newly opened lottery shop. Somehow, I went in and bought 3 yuan worth of tickets. When I found out I won the grand prize, 16 million yuan, I was first in disbelief. Then I wired half of the winnings to Yu Chen. With the remaining 8 million, I wanted to buy a house of my own. There would be no landlord forbidding pets. In my own house, I could keep a little cat that belonged to me. I was so happy I could almost jump for joy. I even decided to use the rest of the money to see a psychologist. But I didn't expect houses in Jiangqing to be so expensive. Any that were bright enough to let in sunlight were beyond my budget. Kittens love sunlight and basking in the sun. I wanted to give it the best. Dejectedly, I walked out of the sales office with that money. It was at that moment that I ran into Huolin Ran. He stared at me for a moment, then called out to stop me. I don't know how he guessed about my peculiar habit, but he's really good-looking, speaks gently and sweetly, and knows how to act cute. By the time I realized it, Huolin Ran was already tethered in my rental apartment. I rented a new, bigger, and brighter house. Half a month after leaving Yu Chen, I acquired my second little cat. Every day, he runs around the house with the chain clinking. Sometimes I can't stand it and tell him to take it off, but he insists on wearing it no matter what. He likes to cook for me and then watches me eat with sparkling eyes. This month with Hualinran, I feel a happiness that seems unreal. Every time I see him curled up beside me obediently with chains on his hands and feet, I remember the little cat from my childhood, lying obediently by my side, belonging only to me. Hualinran, don't you find it strange? One night, I suddenly sat up in bed in the middle of the night. Hualinran on the other bed propped his head lazily and looked at me. Baby, why would you think that? Haven't you been happy these days? My head aches a little, and my heart is inexplicably in turmoil. Happy, but you're human. Don't you need to go home or socialize? This isn't right between us. Hualinran got up from his bed and slowly walked over to mine. The room was lit by a dim yellow lamp, and the exceptionally handsome man seemed like a seductive spirit in the dark night. There's no right or wrong. I like this kind of life, and you like it too, darling, don't you? I nodded. I had to admit, I liked it to death. Every day after work, I'd see him with dinner ready, waiting for me. When I reached out, he'd lean his head in for me to pet. When I left home, he'd act spoiled and beg me to stay a little longer. As if I were his heir. Without me, he couldn't breathe. This tight bond crazily fueled my greed. I was still hesitating in a daze when I looked down and found Hualinran had already climbed onto my bed. He rested his head on my lap, his long arms wrapping around my waist. Darling, we should have done this long ago. In the darkness, the peach-scented body wash on him grew stronger. It was the one I bought the first day he came home with me. He had his own unique cologne, but now from head to toe, he smelled just like me. You go back to your own bed. My face flushed. His arms around my waist felt like they could burn right through me, let alone the warm breath from his words falling on my side. I felt so strange. I twisted my waist slightly, trying to break free. Back when it was Yu-chun, he only touched my head. Why isn't there that blushing, heart-racing feeling? It's perfectly normal for a pet to sleep in the same bed as their owner, baby. He lifted his head slightly to look at me. His godlike face made me a little dazed. Really? He curled the corner of his mouth. He picked up his phone from the side. Don't believe me? Search it yourself. I searched, and the top comment was, I wish my pet would come to my bed. Who's the one who doesn't know their good fortune? I shrank back into the blanket. Hualinran's embrace was so hot, and his heartbeat was frighteningly loud, making my ears go numb. But I didn't hate this feeling. His hair smelled of the same shampoo as mine. I burrowed into his arms reassuringly, feeling the man beneath me stiffen. I looked up at him. What's wrong? His voice was a little hoarse. After a few seconds of silence, he let out what seemed like a helpless laugh. It's nothing. I brought this on myself. Go to sleep, baby. From that day on, Hualinran became even more clingy, even eating meals while clinging to me like an octopus. At night, I felt the cold touch again on my calf. I pushed his head away, somewhat helpless. Why don't you just take off the chain? Who sleeps with a chain on? The clinking sound of the chain rang out. Hualinran narrowed his eyes slightly. No. This way I feel safe. I like it this way. I sighed again. Yu-chun called me a pervert, said I had psychological problems. But it turns out, if you find a man who likes being imprisoned, flaws become virtues. Hualinran always waited until I fell asleep before he would sleep. Half asleep, I felt him crying again. I reached up and rubbed his head, then fell into deep sleep. My kitten always has nightmares in the middle of the night. I need to ask around about how to fix its poor sleep. Although I now have a considerable amount of savings, buying a house with sunlight is still my obsession. So I worked diligently every day until I received a message from Hualinran. Honey, come back quickly. A madman broke into our home and snatched my chain. I'm so scared. The moment I read the message, I put on my helmet, hopped on my e-bike, and raced home. The breeze brushed against my delivery uniform, and I instantly knew who was causing trouble in my house. Yu-chun, the man I had imprisoned for a month. After all, in my memory, besides him, I hadn't offended anyone else. As soon as I got out of the elevator, I heard sounds of a struggle inside. I dashed in, and when I saw the scene, I nearly blacked out from shock. My newly rented apartment looked like it had been wrecked by a husky. From the vases to the chandelier, even the fish tank for my little turtle in the living room was shattered to pieces. Looking at the home where there's no space to even set foot, I carefully moved toward the bedroom. Baby, I'm even afraid to open the door and see Hualinran's dead body. But the second I step into the bedroom, both men hear my voice and turn around at the same time. I gasp. The scene is different from what I imagined. I thought Hualinran, chained by me, would be the one pinned down and beaten. But now, in the bedroom, it's Yuchun who's chained instead. He seems furious, his chest still heaving violently. Seeing me return, Hualinran throws himself into my arms in an instant. Baby, he went crazy as soon as he came in. I was so scared that I unlocked the chain and put it on him myself. You're not mad at me, are you? A man nearly 1.9 meters tall looks pitiful. He stumbles into me, knocking me off balance. This latest Iron Sparrow I've forcefully taken is a bit different from the last one. Though equally handsome, he's as strong as an ox and especially loves acting cute. Yuchun's eyes nearly pop out. Shunjila, didn't you say you've already reformed? How long has it been, and you've chained another one? I felt a bit guilty. After all, just half a month ago, I had tearfully promised Yuchun that I would never do anything bad again, and now I'd been caught red-handed. Yuchun was furious, his face reddening. Awkwardly, I went to unlock the chain for him. I didn't force him this time. He followed me home on his own. If you don't believe me, ask him. Hualinran rubbed the marks on his wrist and nodded obediently. Then he frowned at Yuchun. Babe, who's this lunatic? Yuchun nearly choked on his breath. His face dark, he shook the chain and said, What a pair of lunatics. Who am I? Shinjila, didn't you tell him that this chain was around my neck just half a month ago? He gritted his teeth. Can't you even buy a new chain when you chain someone up? You used mine on someone else. I was a bit embarrassed. I didn't get around to buying a new one. Hualinran coldly looked at Yuchun. Oh, the one my babe set free. So, why are you back? I had mentioned Yuchun to him. Yuchun had clearly said when he left that he never wanted to see me again. I changed my job and moved houses. How could he still go through so much trouble to find me? Yuchun's expression stiffened for a moment. Then he took a deep breath. I forgot something and came back to get it, and what do I see? His eyes seemed to spit fire. You poor bastard. You're imitating others by using force again? I hurriedly waved my hand. I've been rich recently, feeding him meat every day. I've even fattened Hualinran up by a few pounds. Hualinran touched his stomach resentfully. Yesterday, he was complaining that I fed him so much his abs faded. I thought Yuchun would feel better hearing this since he really hated that back then I was so poor I only fed him steamed buns. Unexpectedly, he seemed even angrier. I went to unlock his chains, but he stared at me and slowly narrowed his eyes. Then you really are a considerate, nice pervert. Shinjila, why are you so disobedient? When I left, didn't I say that if you do it again, I will definitely call the police to arrest you? Yuchun's tone was very cold. My hands trembled as I unlocked the chains. I'll release him. I understand. I won't do this again. Hualinran, I'm sorry. Just go. Before I could finish, someone pulled me behind them. Hualinran's angry voice was no longer restrained. He glared at Yuchun. What does our business have to do with you? Whether you don't want to be imprisoned is your own affair. The baby and I are willing participants. The temperature in the room seemed to drop further. He turned around, flustered, and grabbed my hand. I'm not leaving, baby. Don't listen to him. You're not a pervert. I was the one who willingly came to you, remember? I looked up at him. Hualinran cupped my face, his eyes reddening with desperation. I'm different from him. Don't let me go. I'm willing to be imprisoned by you. Just as I was about to soften, Yuchun's icy voice rang out from behind. Hualinran, the youngest son of the Hui family. I was confused, and Hualinran's figure instantly stiffened. Seeing he was right, Yuchun curled his lips, but the smile never reached his eyes. Your father is now going crazy looking for you. What do you think he'd say if I told him about this little pervert keeping you locked up and refusing to let you leave? Yuchun couldn't finish his sentence. Because Hualinran raised his hand and grabbed his neck, even I could tell that Hualinran was probably a powerful and influential young master, just like Yuchun. I felt like crying but had no tears, not knowing whether to consider myself unlucky or lucky. How did I end up picking a jackpot out of nowhere? I pushed Hualinran toward the door, and he kept acting cute and coaxing to stay, but I still drove him away. Turning back, I handed the chain to Yuchun and let him go. Take this away. I really won't do this kind of thing again. The chain was casually thrown onto the bed. Yuchen stepped out, his voice floating faintly in my ears. You'd better mean it. I'll come check again. The door was fully closed. I looked at the mess on the floor and began tidying up wearily. After cleaning up, it was already dark. I lay on the bed, unable to tell if I was more physically or mentally exhausted. My phone vibrated. I opened it. It was an unfamiliar number. As soon as I answered, I heard Hualinran's voice. Baby, my dad seems a bit angry. I'll come over in a few days. Don't just chain anyone off the street. I almost laughed at his words. I wasn't that twisted, was I? But when I tried to force a smile, I couldn't. So I stayed silent for a few seconds. I said to Hualinran, don't come find me anymore. Hualinran went quiet on the other end. I choked back my sobs and said, I'm planning to see a psychologist in a couple of days. I'm really sorry for all this, but I'm glad. I'm glad I met you. Hualinran's voice turned flustered. Don't cry, baby. You're not sick. This is all nothing. Just wait. I'll find a way to come to you right now. I wanted to say more, but the knocking came again. I opened the door. Outside stood Yuchen, his voice ice cold. Instinctively, I hung up the phone. When I opened the door, Yuchen's face was terrible. Why so slow? Got someone new hidden in here again? I shook my head. He stepped inside, and when he spotted the chains in the trash can, his eyes flickered slightly. I'll check the place. I kept my head down and said nothing. He took a couple of turns around the room, even peeking inside the wardrobe, before he felt reassured enough to leave. On the table sat the dinner he'd just brought, 2 steamed buns. I knew he was humiliating me, because Yuchen was filthy rich. He wouldn't just send me 2 steamed buns, but when I imprisoned him, on the poorest day, after paying rent, I could only afford 1 steamed bun. I couldn't bear to eat it and gave it to Yuchen. I didn't eat those 2 steamed buns. I ordered takeout. I'm not that poor anymore, but I still kind of miss Hualinran's cooking. I was eating my takeout when there was another knock at the door. I glanced at the 2 steamed buns, sighed, and opened the door. But unexpectedly, it wasn't Yuchen. Hualinran's eyes were moist, probably from rushing over, and his face was slightly flushed. There was a thin pink chain around his wrist. Baby, I'm back. My heart felt like it was being tightly gripped at that moment. Hualinran smiled beautifully. He held up the chain in his hand. I just bought it. Does it look good? I clenched my teeth and slammed the door shut. Hualinran really is a demon who disturbs my resolve. I've already decided to turn over a new leaf, yet he keeps seducing me. He must have sneaked out. He knocked on the door for almost the whole night. Just when I started to soften and wanted to open the door for him,
his phone rang.
Through the door, I heard a voice cursing him. After a long while, a note was slipped under the door, and then nothing more. I opened it. It was just written by Hualinran. Baby, wait for me. I'll come find you in a couple of days. Your loving kitten.
I felt like crying.
How could someone like me deserve to be loved so passionately by him? I didn't want to make things difficult for Hualinran anymore, nor did I want Yuchen to come to my home every day like inspecting a prisoner, humiliating me. So I took the time to move again. But I didn't expect Yuchen to find me so quickly this time. At my new workplace, he cornered me. Moved again? Are you hiding from me because there's someone else in your house again? That her family brat? How could you be so? I worked during the day and went to see a psychologist at night. When I returned to my empty home, I couldn't help but think of Hualinran. In the past, he would cling to me and never let go, calling me baby over and over, making me watch as he wore his chain again, asking me to praise him. When I slept at night, the bed felt empty, no furry head of Hualinran's, no broad embrace to comfort me. I dreamed several times a night about returning to the orphanage days. I'm already seeing a doctor, and I've already pushed Hualinran away. I even moved and changed jobs to avoid Yuchen, but he still appears in front of me, constantly taunting. For the first time, I broke down. I glared at Yuchen fiercely. No one. Not a single person. And I won't do that kind of thing again in the future. I'm a pervert. I'm the sickest one. I'm already undergoing treatment. Can you just stop appearing in front of me? The air suddenly grew still. Yuchen's face darkened severely. You think I want to bother with you? You'd better be telling the truth this time. When I arrived at my doorstep, exhausted, I almost thought I was hallucinating. Hualinran was squatting by the door, like a stray dog abandoned by its owner. Seeing me return, he stood up excitedly. Baby. I held back the urge to hug him and said coldly, I told you, I don't want to be that kind of person anymore. Don't. The remaining words stuck in my throat. I watched Hualin Ran pull out a bouquet of flowers and a bank card from somewhere, his eyes sparkling. Baby, will you be my girlfriend? If we're together, we can do anything. I'll give all my money to Baby to spend. Baby can go to work if they want, or stay home if they don't. We'll be stuck together forever. I stared at him blankly, feeling like Hualin Ran was a bewitching fairy. He bent slightly, revealing the chain around his neck. And the chain. Baby, when we're a couple, these are just kinks, not crimes. I swallowed hard, feeling my thoughts being led away by him. Really? Hualin Ran smiled, even more gently. Of course. Couples do all sorts of wild things behind closed doors. It's not that Baby is sick, it's just a little intimacy between us. Isn't it pretty? Do you like it? I like it. My eyes went straight. The man's fair neck had a faint red mark from the chain, making my heart pound. So, be with me, baby. How Hualin Ran got into the house, I've already forgotten. I only remember that by the time I reacted, he was already lying next to me. The long-lost sense of security made me fall asleep as soon as my head hit the pillow. In the darkness, Hualin Ran's gaze clung to me, greedy and infatuated. The next afternoon, we went to the supermarket together. It was my first time shopping with someone, and we were holding hands, fingers intertwined. I watched him grab a bunch of snacks to eat while watching a movie together later that night. I smiled and agreed. But when I looked up, I met the dark, ominous gaze of Yuchen standing right in front of us. The moment I saw him, I instinctively tried to pull my hand away from Hualin Ran's, but he held on tightly, and I couldn't shake it off. What's wrong? Hualin Ran placed the items in his hand into the shopping cart and looked at me gently. I pressed my lips together, but before I could say anything, Yuchen was already right in front of us. Shenjila, do you think it's fun to mess with me? I took a deep breath, looked up at him, and said, No. Yuchen's eyes fell on our intertwined hands, and his voice grew even heavier. So that's why you promised me yesterday that you wouldn't lock anyone up again, and today you're bringing him along? Hualin Ran raised a hand to stop him. Mister, aren't you overstepping a bit? He shook our joined hands. We still haven't settled the score from the day before yesterday, when you barged in and disrupted us at our own place. And today, my girlfriend and I are just shopping at a supermarket. You have to interfere with that too? The word girlfriend seemed to sting Yuchen. He looked up sharply, his gaze shifting from our hands to my face. The supermarket was noisy, but I felt like all sounds had faded away. You're together now? His voice was hoarse. After a few seconds of silence, as if he could no longer hold it in, he added, Then what about me? My palm was gripped tightly. Hualin Ran's expression, however, remained calm, as if he hadn't even realized he was hurting me. What about you? Go find yourself a nice, cool place to hang out, he said, deliberately ignoring his words. Yuchen looked at me and asked again, Then what about me? What were all those steamed buns and potatoes I ate supposed to mean? I looked down at the full shopping cart, then back at Yuchen, whose eyes were turning red. It finally dawned on me. He felt unbalanced. Because when I had imprisoned Hualin Ran, I fed him lavish meals, but when I imprisoned Yuchen, I gave him nothing but scraps. Realizing this, I didn't find Yuchen so annoying anymore. Instead, I felt a bit sorry for him. It was true that I had wronged him. So I grabbed some snacks from the cart and shoved them into his arms. Here, take these, I said. 1 box, 2 boxes, 1 bag, 2 bags. Hualin Ran watched with great interest, even turning his head to stifle a laugh. As for Yuchen, he seemed furious, taking several deep breaths before calming down. Shenjila, who wants your lousy snacks? And they're not even paid for. I stopped awkwardly, suddenly remembering I hadn't paid yet. Holding the things in my hands, I felt at a loss. Hualin Ran raised his hand to push him aside, then took my hand and continued picking snacks. Mister, my girlfriend, and I still have things to buy. If you really want to eat, wait until we pay, and then I'll give them to you. Even after we walked far away, I could still hear the grinding of Yuchen's teeth. I hung my head low, most of my enthusiasm for supermarket shopping ruined. But Hualin Ran remained in high spirits, carefully selecting 2 large bags of items before taking my hand to head back. We were almost at the entrance to the residential complex. He suddenly stopped. I looked at him in surprise, only to see his cold gaze fall behind me. Been following us all the way, Mr. Yu. Now who's the real pervert? I turned my head and realized that Yu-chin had been following us all along. His face was pale, and upon hearing this, he stepped forward without hesitation. Then you should ask your girlfriend why she locked someone up for no reason, why she only gave them steamed buns and vegetables, and why she was the one who locked others up and also the one who drove them away. His voice was loud. I immediately made my stance clear. I'm really sorry, Yu-chin, really. His chest heaved heavily. His gaze fell on my face. Then what are you going to use to apologize to me? You locked me up for so many days and then kicked me out. Is it just a verbal apology? I took out my phone. I transferred you money. If it's not enough, I'll compensate you for the mental anguish and labor costs during that time. I really don't know what else to do. The mistake has been made. Even if he actually calls the police to arrest me now, I have no objection. Yu-chin looked at me in disbelief. Do I lack your paltry sum of money? Linran nodded and handed over the snacks in his hand. Compensation for you. You had a hard time eating poorly during that period. I always felt his words were like a provocation, but Linran acted as if it wasn't the case. Just as Yu-chan was about to curse, he caught sight of a box at the top of the shopping bag, and his pupils slightly contracted. He yanked the item out. He gritted his teeth so hard they nearly cracked. What is this? I stared wide-eyed, looking incredulously from the shopping bag to the object. How could there be a condom, and the largest size at that? The veins on Yu-chen's hand bulged, and his eyes were frighteningly red. Shunjila, you are something else. When you were with me, you wouldn't even touch me with your hands, treating me like a dog. But with him. Lianran curled his lips, took the item back, and threw it into another shopping bag. Mr. Yu, I don't know why you've been following us all along. If you're worried that Lele might cause trouble again, you can rest assured. He turned to look at me. His eyes were full of tenderness. My girlfriend will only ever imprison me from now on. Those games will only be played with me, and she will never tie you up again, Mr. Yu. The instant the words left his mouth, a fist slammed into his stomach. I let out a startled cry. Watching Yu-chin crazily punch Linran's stomach, I didn't know what triggered him. When I pulled him away and saw Linran's pale face, my eyes instantly welled up. Are you crazy? My voice was choked with tears. I apologized and I'm willing to make amends. If you want, you can call the police and have me locked up, I'll accept that. But why did you hit him? Yu-chin was panting heavily. His eyes were red-rimmed. I don't want any of your compensation. Shunjila, you were the one who provoked me first. Now you're just brushing it off and going with someone else. What does that mean? I couldn't hear anything he said because seeing Linran sitting on the floor with a pale face broke my heart. It's okay, don't cry. He forced a smile, but it looked strained. I deeply apologize for what I did. Feel free to ask for anything. I'll try my best to make it up to you. But please, don't come disturb me and my boyfriend's life anymore. I supported Linran as he straightened up. Yu-chin watched me in silence and didn't respond. As I walked past him, he suddenly raised his hand and grabbed my wrist. Yu-chen's voice was low and hoarse, his head hanging down. Shunjila, I'm hurting too, you liar. Linran didn't even fight back. How could he be in pain? As soon as we got home, Linran lay on the sofa acting spoiled. Unlike just now outside, he kept crying out in pain, tears streaming down his face in grievance. He wiped his snot all over me. Baby, I'm dying of pain. How can there be such a bad person? How could he just hit someone? I even kindly gave him snacks. If it weren't for you feeling guilty toward him, I would have fought back. I handed him the warm water and glanced sideways at him. What's up with that thing? Linran paused in drinking the water. The warm mist from the water gave his pupils a watery sheen. I bought it to meet the free shipping threshold. Who knew he would care so much? I've come to realize that unlike Yu-chin, who is a tsundere little cat, Linran is a green tea little cat. Thinking about Yu-chin gave me a headache. Although I couldn't remember the time we spent together, I could tell from the surveillance footage that our relationship hadn't been good before I lost my memory. Being locked up for no reason and given only cheap meals every day, it was only natural that he hated me. But he shouldn't have taken it out on Linran. He was innocent. I turned to look at Linran. He was rummaging through the pile of snacks. That condom had been tossed into the trash by him. Well, maybe he wasn't so innocent either. I rubbed my temples, even wanting to go back in time and punch myself. Yu-chun was clearly a husky, the kind that destroys the house with astonishing combat power. How could I have ever thought he was like my little cat? At night, when we slept, Huolianran held me even tighter. I couldn't help but struggle. Huolianran, can you unlock the chain? It digs into me every night and makes me uncomfortable. The air was silent for 2 seconds. Huolianran's voice was husky and seductive. Baby, I've been holding it in for a long time before saying this. I thought you'd never notice. I couldn't help muttering under my breath. How could I not feel it? Mid-sentence, I, who had been drowsy, suddenly widened my eyes. Wait, why was the iron chain hot? In the darkness, Huolianran laughed so hard his whole body shook, making the entire bed tremble with him. His warm breath fell on the side of my neck, and even his laughter was exceptionally pleasant to hear. But I was in no mood to listen now. I felt terrifyingly hot all over, even hotter than Huolianran. I really don't understand, but I'm an adult, and I know what that is. I was so embarrassed I wanted to die. Huolianran tightened his arms around my waist. Baby, don't be afraid. It's the iron chain. Go to sleep now. I felt the air growing thin. I had already moved into a bigger house, so why did it still feel so stuffy? I could barely breathe. Huolianran's breathing gradually steadied, but I knew he wasn't asleep. After a long while, I couldn't help but cough lightly. Are you uncomfortable? A large hand covered my eyes, a warm kiss landed on my forehead, and a gentle, helpless sigh sounded in my ear. Go to sleep. If you keep tormenting me, I'll go sleep in the other bed. No way. Pets are supposed to sleep with their owners. That's the rule. I raised my hand and hugged him back, listening to his chaotic heartbeat. I haven't taken out the trash today. A sharp intake of breath came from above my head. I tried to suppress my laugh, my ears turning red as I added, if you bought it in your size, you can take it back from the trash. Huolianran cursed under his breath, got up, and left the bed. I sat up and reached out to grab him. I was wrong. Don't go to the other bed. I won't be able to sleep. The dim bedside lamp couldn't hide the man's flushed cheeks. I'm not going to the other bed. I'm going to dig through the trash. The jingling of the chain sounded like bells. Sometimes the chain around Huolianran's ankle would brush against my calf. The scorching heat of his body suddenly touching the cold metal made me shudder involuntarily. Huolianran's breathing grew heavier. As my consciousness began to dissolve, all I could hear was the clinking of the chain and Huolianran's voice whispering in my ear, Lele, do you like the sound? Lele. It felt like it had been ages since anyone called me that. I couldn't remember where I'd heard it before. But right now, every sense was amplified to the extreme. I couldn't think of anything, could only keep staring at that devastatingly handsome face before me. Huolianran was so beautiful. His nose, his lips, even his frowns and his sweat. All beautiful. The most beautiful part was his eyes. At that moment, they were infatuated and tender, reflecting my own delighted expression. I shyly turned my head away, not daring to look anymore. We'd only made love twice. The first time, Huolianran was a bit quick. He said the second time was to prove he could do it. Huolianran could do it, more than could do it. When the phone rang, I instinctively pressed it off. This was the first time Huolianran fell asleep before me. I'm downstairs at your place. Let's talk. Yu-chen's voice sounded a bit nasal. I whispered a refusal. Let's talk about it later. It's late. Shinjila, I've been sitting downstairs at your place for 3 hours. Let's talk. I felt something different about Yu-chen tonight. Otherwise, I'll come upstairs right now and fight that guy again. Thinking of Huolianran's pale face as he clutched his stomach, my anger flared up. I didn't expect Yu-chen was telling the truth. Looking at the scattered cigarette butts on the ground, I frowned slightly. Sorry, I don't know if you can accept someone who smokes. Lately, I've been feeling really bad. I heard smoking helps you relax, so I wanted to try it. If you don't like it, I can quit. Seeing me staring at the ground, Yu-chen stubbed out the cigarette in his hand. Whatever. I just think littering cigarette butts is kind of trashy. As soon as I said that, the fingers of the person in front of me stiffened. Shunjili seem a bit different from before now. I didn't speak. I looked up at the upstairs. The light in my room was off. Huolianran hadn't woken up yet. Spit it out. No matter how much money you need, I'll scrape it together for you. As soon as I said that, He eagerly interrupted. I don't want money, Shinjila. I want to come back to you. Yu Chen's throat seemed choked. He stared at my neck for a long time, and his eyes slowly reddened. Only then did I realize that because I had looked up, the red marks on my neck were completely exposed. Yu Chen lowered his head and began picking up cigarette butts, his voice hoarse and terrifying. I can continue being your pet. If you want to play at imprisonment, I can accept that too.
No.
I already have a boyfriend. I've been seeing a therapist recently. I don't need any other pets. I frowned. Sorry. Yu Chen's face turned even paler. One cigarette butt was still faintly glowing with fire, but he seemed not to feel the heat, clutching it in his palm like that. But I was the first one you ever liked. Why don't you need me anymore? The evening wind was a bit cold, so I pulled my clothes tighter. Yu Chen, I'm sorry for the harm I caused you, but I remember that you also hated how I treated you. He stepped forward anxiously, and I instinctively stepped back, only to notice the moisture at the corners of his eyes, his eyelids red. I never hated it. I just thought it wasn't normal. No normal person would accept it, but after I left, I missed you terribly. I wanted to know what you were doing, to see your sleeping face, to smell your scent, to see your eyes shining as you brought good food to my lips. I shook my head. I think you should see a therapist too. This is Stockholm Syndrome. My therapist is quite professional. I'll send you his card later. Yu Chen's eyes were full of pain and despair. He stared at me stubbornly.
No.
I know exactly what I'm doing. That day, I came to your place willingly because I already had feelings for you. It was the first time I saw a girl so brave. I thought that day you would confess to me, that we would take things further, because every time you looked at me, your eyes were full of affection. His face was pale. I just couldn't accept how you could lock me up, so I got angry and said harsh things. But when I saw you actually fixing such a burning gaze on someone else, my heart felt like it was being gnawed by 1,000 ants. I was driven mad with jealousy. I watched him quietly. Those eyes, I once loved them the most. But now, seeing him slowly shed tears, I only wanted to rush back upstairs, back into Huolinran's embrace. Would he have another nightmare in the middle of the night, secretly shedding tears again? As Yu Chen spoke, he seemed to notice that I was distracted. His breathing grew more rapid. You can't do this to me, Shinjila. You're the one who made me like this. Look at me, Shinjila. You must be bewitched. Huolinran is good-looking, but am I that inferior? Clearly you liked me before. But after the car accident and your amnesia, you kicked me out. When he said this, his eyes lit up, and he raised his hand to grab my wrist. Yes, you hit your head and lost your memory. There must be a blood clot that hasn't cleared, making you forget how much you used to like me. Let me take you to see a doctor. I tried to shake him off, but he held on tight. Please, just come with me to see a doctor and try to remember, okay? Shinjila, you've imprisoned me for over a month. You've kept me locked up this whole time. You like me. You owe me. You said yourself you'd make it up to me. I don't need money. I don't want anything. I just want you to remember. Make it up to me by liking me again, okay? His grip was too strong. I was starting to panic. I struggled desperately. He opened the car door and pushed my head down, trying to shove me into the back seat, but I pulled back with all my strength. With a sudden force, my head hit the car door frame. I screamed and crouched down. Yu Chen seemed to calm down a bit. He crouched beside me in a panic and reached out to touch my head. Did you hit it? Shinjila, does it hurt? Why are you running? Why are you so disobedient? I'm just taking you to see a doctor.
No sooner had he spoken than
a familiar scent of peach body wash came from behind me. The next second, Yu Chen was pinned to the ground. I was still unsteady from the pain. When I looked up, I saw Huolinran pinning Yu Chen to the ground and pounding him like a mad beast. I gasped in shock. Yu Chen seemed to want to fight back, but was being beaten down, unable even to defend himself. Huolinran, I was afraid he would beat him to death. I staggered and reached out to pull him. When I threw myself into his arms, I realized Huolinran's whole body was trembling. He was shaking uncontrollably. I raised my hand and patted his back repeatedly to comfort him. I'm here, I'm here. After a long while, he seemed to finally return to his senses. The moment he saw my face clearly, big teardrops rolled down nonstop. I was so scared, Lele. I thought you were going to be taken away again. My heart felt like it was being tightly squeezed. I forced a smile. Your hand is bleeding. Let's go home first. Hulinran let me lead him like a puppet. Just as we were about to step into the elevator, Yuchen finally picked himself up from the ground. Shunjila, you yourself said you owe me. You imprisoned me for a month. I turned back and pursed my lips. Yuchen, I only locked you up. In that month plus, you could have opened the window and called for help. You're a grown man. You had 1,000 ways to get out, but you didn't. Aside from restricting your freedom, I don't seem to owe you anything. You said you wanted dumplings at 3 in the morning. I got up, kneaded dough, and wrapped them for you. After I finished, you knocked over the bowl and said the stuff made by a creep like me was disgusting. After a deathly silence, Yuchun was like a deflated balloon. You remember now. My hand was gripped tightly. I turned to look at the slightly uneasy Hulianran. I just remembered. It only makes me more certain that I don't need you. We drove home in silence the whole way. I took out the first aid kit and bandaged Hulianran's hand. Baby, are you mad? He asked me cautiously. I didn't mean to hit him. I just saw him trying to take you away, and I couldn't help it. I shook my head. No, little pair. Lianran looked dejected. Then why do you look so awful? He suddenly lifted his head, his pupils shaking. What did you call me? I gently finished bandaging him, even tying a bow. Little pair? My good little pair. Lianran's eyes, which had just stopped being red, instantly reddened again. He choked out, unable to speak a full sentence. You remember, Lele. Do you blame me for not protecting you?
I'm sorry.
I really did remember. That hit just now not only brought back my memories from the past 3 years, but also awakened my memories from when I was 6 years old. Yuchen was wrong. He thought he was the first person I raised. Actually, the first person I raised was named Hulianran. I gave him the name Shaoli. When I was 5, I raised a cat. After the orphanage director threw it away, I fell into endless obsession. When I was 6, because I was good-looking, even though I had a bad personality, the orphanage director found me a decent adoption. That family was very wealthy. The couple neither liked nor disliked me. I had been different from other children since childhood, exceptionally quiet. After the kitten was taken away, I became even less talkative. No one liked me, except for the youngest son of the family next door to my adoptive parents. He always followed me around. Although I pushed him away more than once, he was like a sticky candy. He just couldn't be shaken off. Lele, what do you want to be when you grow up? Lele, do you think I'm pretty? Today at kindergarten, some kids said I was pretty and wanted to kiss me. I didn't let them. I want you to kiss me. Lele, why are you always so quiet? He's so noisy. I pursed my lips. When I grow up, I want to raise a little cat, but my adopted parents won't let me keep one, and Hulinran's family won't either. So 5-year-old Hulinran found a rope and put it around his neck. Lele, I'll be your little cat, okay? My heart ached and itched at the same time. For the first time, I looked at Hulinran. Okay, then I'll call you little pair. You're my own little cat. Hulinran was very happy. So was I. But because he came home and slept with me every day, my adopted parents discovered something unusual when they checked on us at night. That day, Hulinran was sleeping beside me with a rope around his neck, and I held the other end of the rope in my hand. In our dreams, we both had happy smiles on our faces. He was forcibly taken home. My adoptive parents never liked me, and after discovering this, they were terrified that Hulinran's parents would find out and take it out on them. I heard them call the orphanage, saying I was sick and that they wanted to send me back. I was shoved into a car. I saw that 5-year-old boy clinging to the car door, screaming and howling, calling my name over and over, begging me not to leave. But I was still taken away. The director sent me to an orphanage in another city, saying that orphanage had a psychologist who could better treat my illness. But no one treated me. I knew the director was just afraid my presence would tarnish the orphanage's reputation, making it harder to place the remaining children. No one needed me. No one loved me. After another director crushed the cricket I had raised, I ran a fever all night. The next day, I forgot many things. I forgot I was originally from an orphanage in another city. I forgot I hated eating celery. I forgot there was a little boy who ran after the car for a long way. I found you too late, Lele. Hulinran's tears were as plentiful as they had been when he was 5. Just now, seeing you about to be shoved into the car again, I almost went crazy. I hugged him. Just like in childhood, I rubbed the top of his head over and over again. Shinjila, now 25, spoke to the boy who had also grown up, the promise he had made when he was 6. Lele will never leave Shally. We'll be together forever.
Good night.